Hello, my name is Michael Sidgwick, and there's only one thing I love more than my favourite wrestler of all time, Dean Ambrose, and that's selling my book, Development Hell, The NXT Story. It's very good and tells the full, unofficial story of WWE's third brand, and if you wanted to buy it at shop.worldculture.com, I'd be very happy indeed, or should I say, in dirty deed. I really like Dean Ambrose. Okay, thanks Michael, bye. What a lovely dad he is. One of the things that often goes unheralded by WWE is the fact that simply not everyone survives NXT. Some people flop and flop hard. Sometimes that makes sense. Here's looking at you, ZZ. Sometimes it's baffling to see someone with huge potential slip away. I'm Plumpy from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 NXT flops who should have been huge. Number 10, Raquel Diaz. Professional wrestling is built on the names of its greatest dynasties, the Funks, the Ortons, the Flairs, the Rock Johnsons. Short of McMahon, there is perhaps no surname more celebrated in professional wrestling than Guerrero. But while coming from a celebrated bloodline certainly helps a wrestler break into the business, staying there is a lot harder, as Raquel Diaz found out. She's the eldest daughter of Vicky and Eddie Guerrero, which should be her set for life, right? Sure enough, in FCW, she held the territory's Divas Championship for 197 days and had a strong TV presence after NXT rebranded in 2012. Guerrero was granted her release to attend school that September, but returned the following year. The second run did not last, and she was gone from NXT by April 2014, having not made a single televised appearance. Medical issues reportedly prompted her decision, and her incredible pedigree has since gone to waste, as she hasn't wrestled after leaving WWE. Number 9, James Storm. A TNA mainstay for over 13 years, James Storm, aka the world's muscliest cowpoke, looked to leave that promotion in 2015. The former heavyweight champion's contract expired that June, though he continued on a pay-per-view appearance deal for a few more months before showing up unannounced at a set of NXT TV tapings that October. Storm drew a hearty pop from the Full Sail University faithful, who are wise to the good work he'd done in TNA over the years. For example, as part of Beer Money, I forget who his partner was in that tag team, nobody important. He defeated Danny Burch in a quick match, returned in December, scoring his second WWE victory over Adam Rose, then vanished. Having previously signalled his desire to join WWE, it was later revealed that Storm had turned their contract offer down and opted to re-sign with TNA instead. Now, it's harsh to call Storm a flop, but it's impossible to view his short run as anything other than a disappointment. Number 8, Richie Steamboat. I don't know if you know this, but Richie Steamboat actually has a famous dad. That's right, the Steamboat from Steamboat Willie. Poop poop, that's his father. Poop poop, stupidest fucking joke I've ever told. Like his pops, Richie Steamboat worked a classic 80s influenced style, brought bags of technical ability to the brand, and featured prominently on NXT in 2012. Unfortunately, Richie's career seemed to unravel shortly after. He suffered a nasty back injury in November of that year, ultimately bringing his wrestling career to an end. The demise of Steamboat's career came through severe misfortune rather than any fault of his own, but his potential still went unfulfilled. His family name would have written him a ticket to the main roster, and with a few years of seasoning, Richie could have been an exciting prospect on Raw or SmackDown. Fate was not on his side, however, and his demise highlights how cruel and unfair wrestling can be. Number 7, Sofia Cortes. Had Sofia Cortes stayed with NXT, she'd likely be a multi-time women's champion by now, both in developmental and on the main roster. Signed through Tough Enough in 2011, she lasted just over 1 year before leaving the company in August 2012, following an alleged bust-up with controversial head trainer Bill "I'm a Bastard" DeMott. Cortes has since stated that she was one of the first wrestlers to report DeMott for alleged misconduct, and believes that reporting him to WWE's higher-ups was the reason for her release. Again, flop is a harsh term here, but Cortez's post-WWE work demonstrates just how big an asset she should have been to the company. She's otherwise known as Lucha Underground's Ivelisse, and she's f***ing brilliant, standing out for her toughness and willingness to go toe-to-toe with anybody regardless of size or gender. Thank you, Bill. Number 6, Kaval. Low-key is one of the most decorated performers in independent wrestling history, an intense, hard-hitting striker. He also has a voice that makes mine sound like a prepubescent girl's, and made his name with stunning performances for companies like Ring of Honor and PWG, before eventually signing for WWE following his second stint with TNA in 2008. He was renamed Kaval and started working with the likes of Wade Barrett and Alberto Del Rio in FCW. His NXT affiliation began in 2010 when the brand was still a reality show, and entered the second season under the tutelage of Michelle McCool and Layla. Makes sense for the first ever Ring of Honor champion to be managed by fucking Lay Cool. Despite winning his NXT season, Kaval's style just didn't mesh with WWE, and after being moved to SmackDown, his career went down the pan. Kaval racked up regular losses throughout the year before leaving the company in December. Number 5, Andrade Cien Almas. There's a chance that Andrade Cien Almas could still turn his ailing WWE around, with his heel turn attempting to steer into the fact that people find the fedora-wearing sex pest as repugnant as a scab. Unfortunately, the former CMLL standout still hasn't found his niche in NXT. Tell you what didn't help, bringing in the former La Sombra Bomber as a babyface and immediately booking him against Ty Dillinger, whose popularity was going through the fucking roof at the time. Once one of Mexico's most exciting high flyers, Cien has become something of a non-entity, and each new NXT debutant seems to surge past him in the pecking order, with Roderick Strong and Aleister Black the latest examples. A hype signing at the time, he now looks consigned to the scrap heap, but hopefully not. Number 4, Solomon Crowe. Solomon Crowe's WWE run marks him as one of the biggest busts in NXT history. A former tag partner of Dean Ambrose on the indie circuit, Crowe debuted in NXT in 2015 to a rousing pop, but never really took off. Saddled with a hacker gimmick, Solomon would use a tablet to take control of the arena's light during live events, utilizing the tactic to distract opponents before their match. Radical. Crowe's appearances were sporadic, he barely won, and ultimately, frustrated with his role in the company, Crowe was granted his release that November and returned to his old Sami Callihan moniker on the indies. He has since become one of the scene's hottest commodities and is once again showing the aggressive qualities that made him a hype prospect in the first place. Number 3, Derrick Bateman. As Ethan Carter III, Bateman's performances were a rare bright spot in one of the most difficult periods in TNA's history. A former FCW trainee, Bateman's NXT run began in the reality show's 4th season when he was paired with Daniel Bryan. He failed but reappeared in the 5th season before entering a turgid romance angle with Maxine and Johnny Curtis. By 2012, Bateman became a full-time developmental wrestler once again and was restricted to playing jobber to the stars. He was released in May 2013, and his subsequent work proved that WWE had no idea what they had in the man who would become EC3. Number 2, Kassius Ohno. Widely regarded as one of the greatest independent wrestlers of all time, Chris Hero, aka Kassius Ohno, should probably have been one of WWE's biggest stars by now. He was a standout in NXT, but was disappointingly released in 2013, perhaps over issues WWE had with his physique. Then he went and had a 2016 that saw him churn out stunning matches of the year on a near-weekly basis. By January 2017, Kassius Ohno was back in an NXT ring, but he's still on the fringes, and despite wrestling Bobby Roode, he's yet to be given a meaningful storyline. There's still time, of course, but the prognosis isn't looking amazing. And number 1, Hideo Itami. Well, fuck. It really sucks what happened to the man known as Kenta. Once one of Japan's most respected wrestlers, the former Ring of Honor and Pro Wrestling Noah star retains a significant fan base, but he's never managed to get going in NXT. Itami arrived in 2014 and has been plagued by injury problems ever since. A severely dislocated shoulder suffered in May 2015 kept him out of action for over a year, and he succumbed to major neck damage soon after returning, sidelining him for another 7 months. His most recent comeback began in April 2017 as Itami challenged Bobby Roode for the NXT Championship at TakeOver Chicago, but was unsuccessful. It's a really good match, but feels like too little, too late. Itami missed out on the golden years of NXT through no fault of his own, and that just fucking sucks.